waiting for your Uber and a green arrow appears above your head so they can actually find you at the right location. Or looking at your car and knowing you have 100 miles until you need to change your tire. This is the power of augmented reality. It's putting the digital into the real world and giving you the seamless access to data that makes it so powerful. VR, on the other hand, is completely immersing you into a digital environment, whereas AR, again, is the digital in the real world, so that's the big difference. Holograms are an aspect of AR, and it's a standalone hardware that we put the digital into the real world. So everybody in this room can see and interact with the same thing, versus having to wear a headset and you being the only one to see the digital. This is a big distinction for VNTANA. So we are all about the group experience and making this interactive and engaging. So we can create all kinds of fun experiences for brands to engage with consumers. The US Open, we let everybody serve a ball to Roger Federer and he would hit it. You got a video to post to Facebook. Nothing is more shareable than a selfie with a celebrity. So this is kind of what we do today, and really engaging consumers and capturing data for brands and giving them this unique experience they never would get to be able to have. This was not the plan originally. About 4 years ago, I was an engineer at BP, kind of bored with my job, wasn't my passion, and I was importing sunglasses from China to resell them, just for fun, on the side. Who does that for fun? My co-founder, Ben, that's how we met, through mutual friends. They're like, how are you both importing sunglasses to sell them? You guys need to meet each other. And we started bouncing around business ideas. It wasn't long before Ben hated his sales job at ADP so much that he quit and bought a one-way ticket to China. And I ended up taking a leave of absence from BP, but we still kept throwing around business ideas. And I saw so many people watching live streams of concerts on their laptops. And I thought that looked horrible. You know, why would you sit at a desk and enjoy a concert? It's about dancing with your friends and meeting people and seeing the light show. It's a whole experience. So I thought, you know, especially DJs, we could let them play multiple venues at the same time. Live streaming high quality audio, recreating that light show. So I got a job as a light jockey at a nightclub so I could experiment with the equipment for free. My friends and family thought I was insane. I left a very high paying job at BP to be a light jockey to make 10 bucks an hour, but I was now getting paid to learn about the equipment, and I had a venue and equipment to experiment with, and I was meeting people in the industry. And we started having DJs in my apartment, and we live streamed them to this nightclub down the street. And we started getting a lot of interest because artists weren't making money selling records, they were only making money doing live performances. And now they could do 10 at once. And Steve Aoki came and said yes. So I was emailing Ben at the time. I was getting mad when he wasn't responding quick enough, even though he was on a mountain in Nepal that barely had internet. And I said, Steve Aoki wants to do this, you need to come back to LA and help me start this company. So he came back and we officially founded VNTANA. The catch was, Steve didn't want to do it in the US. He didn't want to ruin his own ticket sales here, but he would love to go to Asia. And we thought, perfect. Ben was just there. Half my friends from engineering school were from Singapore, China, Korea. We know people there. Let's go and sign up nightclubs. So we shot a video at the nightclub that I was working with before I left, invited all of our friends, shot this crazy party video, inserted DJ footage we got from YouTube to make it look like we were really live streaming these shows, and we went to Asia with our iPad to show people what we were doing. We visited 104 nightclubs in 42 days between Singapore and Japan, all on $5,000, including flights. We were staying in complete shitholes. One morning we woke up in Hong Kong and couldn't stop scratching. We had bed bugs and it was terrible. And we had to go to Shenzhen where we could afford a real hotel. But it worked. We actually signed up nightclubs. I had a friend who worked for Time Out Shanghai who introduced me to every Time Out in every major city, who would then introduce us to club managers and owners because they wrote about them in the magazine. And this is how it happens. So, you know, it all comes down to relationships and who you know, and don't be afraid to ask and network. And that's how we ended up meeting club owners in China who knew that wanted to purchase these live streams. So we get back from China, we're so excited, we had signed up all these clubs, and Steve changed his mind. He wanted something more authentic than just audio in a light show. He didn't think that was enough for his fans. So, we had already sold these streams, these clubs wanted them, and we were like, what are we gonna do? And we're like, well, what about holograms? Holograms are pretty much the real thing. If that DJ's hologram could be on stage with the same light show, with everything, they have to say yes. So I got a meeting with Paradigm Talent Agency, and I pitched them this, like we could already do it, and they said yes. Kia Cars and Nicky Romero wanted to do this. And so I called Ben and said, I've got good news and I've got bad news. Kia Cars and Nicky Romero want to work with us, but we have to figure out how to do a hologram. And he was like, oh my God, but we started researching and there was nothing on the market that was affordable or scalable. The only thing out there was hundreds of thousands of dollars, took 10 plus people to set up. We didn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there was 2 of us. So we had to build our own system, and we started building it in his parents' garage in Orange County, like any good startup begins, I guess. And we built our first prototype, and we pulled it off. We had it all set up probably 10 minutes before people started showing up. It was probably one of the most stressful nights of my life, but we did it, and it looked great, and the client was happy. And we thought we had made it at this point. But it turns out most people don't believe you if you tell them you can do holograms. I don't know why Paradigm believed us. And so we needed an office to show people the technology. And we still have not raised any money to this point. We're convinced we could sell tickets to these shows, and that's how we were going to fund it. So we were looking around at offices, and we saw this beautiful office on Colorado Avenue in Santa Monica, across the street from Universal Music. And we're like, this is the perfect location. And we walk in, it was under construction, but there was one conference room completely finished. And the owner happened to be there, and we said, hey, we're a startup, all we can afford is $600 right now. Can we please use this conference room until the rest of your building is finished and your tenants can move in? And he said, sure, it's free money to me. And so that's the biggest lesson, and do not be afraid to ask. We got prime location for 2.5 months for $600 and used that as our first office and started inviting people in to do demos. We ended up talking to Snoop Dogg's manager, and Paradigm, the rest of Paradigm came in, all the different buyers there, from DJs to their venture capital, and they ended up being our first investors, along with a few other VCs that let us get our real office. But we were still very scrappy even after we raised our first amount. Ben lived in that first office for a year, which I can't believe he did it for that long. And we started doing hologram concerts. We built our hardware and we started doing. We did manufactured superstars. We did Paul Oakenfold, some more stuff with Nicky Romero. But every time we did a show, it was sponsored by a brand. Brands were actually the ones paying us. So we said, well, what else do you guys want to do? Because you're the ones actually paying us to show up and do this. And they wanted it to be interactive. They wanted to engage with the consumer. So we hacked the Connect, wrote our first interactive software so we could film a person in any environment and capture their holographic image live. Then we did our gesture control. So just like Minority Report, you could swipe through different holographic products, you could point, you could change the color. And then we did our avatar control. So we can take any character model and let you control them in real time. So you can stand in front of our system and control a hologram of Spider-Man or Batman and become your favorite superhero. Or we can have actors controlling them, and Barbie can be on stage announcing her new line. And we wrote to Microsoft and said, we're doing holograms with your Connect. You need to make us early developers and give us free Connects. And they did. So that started our great partnership with Microsoft. We became Connect early developers. We're now part of their BizSpark program. We get $120,000 in free Azure a year. And they send us surfaces, they send us stuff to play with because they want more engineers and more startups building on their products. And it's so important to establish those partnerships. And it really, as a startup, gives you validation. If Microsoft is one of your partners and supporting you, then Dell and Mercedes are willing to give you a chance. And so we started working with brands, but we weren't going to go after one brand at a time. We wanted to hit one sales channel that could hit all of them. So we started making deals with agencies. Advertising agencies have, they have 20 different brands as their clients, and that was a way for us to reach tons at once. And it's so important to find that sales channel, because you'll burn out if you're selling on a one-to-one basis. So we made a lot of great partnerships with OMD, 72 and Sunny, Meta, VaynerMedia, and they started selling for us. And we became their interactive hologram solution, because there's still no one else doing this on the market. And so over the past year and a half, we did a number of experiential marketing events through the agencies with big brands like Dell, Mercedes, Pepsi, and it enabled us to bring in revenue. And a lot of investors look at this and say, oh, you're an events company. We said, no, we're a technology company using events to fund us. Every event was 50% gross margin profitable. And every event, we asked the client what kind of interactive software they wanted, and we would build it and get funding to build that and hire more developers as we build out our platform. And so this year, as we continue to expand, we're doing a lot more permanent installations. So holograms will live at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. And we're getting recurring revenue on maintenance, content changes, selling back that data that we're collecting on people, and as well as doing larger sales partnerships. So we're not just selling to the one brand who's doing one trade show. We're making deals with the trade show organizers, and they're selling to all of their exhibitors our hologram technology. They're setting it up. We're just pushing content and software remotely. And so I mentioned data, and a lot of people in general are usually very guarded about their information. The first time we did one of our interactive hologram displays was for pre-party for the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And we were really nervous because this was a lot of politicians, it was celebrities, people who are normally not going to give their email or are very shy about that. The minute they got to be a hologram, nobody cared. We had a line the whole night. We had over 600 people go through. And they had so much fun, and this was such a big proof point for us. So we were giving people something they really wanted to experience, and they didn't mind giving up their email. So then it became, what else can we get from them? Because we're getting their image, we can scan these photos and get demographic information without anyone having to enter a survey, which no one's going to follow a survey at an event. But now we could give a brand, hey, this is everyone's email who interacted, these people posted on Facebook because our backend is tracking that, and this is the demographic information of everybody who's there because we've scanned the photos. But then we can also design the experience to get certain information. So our auto clients, for instance, we're letting people design their dream car. They can pick the color, the interior, the rims, all of their gesture control, swipe, and the car door opens or the engine comes out. But at the end of that, I know that Susie wants a red Mercedes SLK because that's what she designed, and she lives in New York, and we can loop that back in with Mercedes CRM and make that sale for them. And this is the future of advertising. As VR and AR continue to evolve, there won't be screens in the future. And there won't be a screen for this crazy banner ad to pop up. If that was in an augmented reality world, that would be super abrasive. You can't just wow people as they're getting into their car or brushing their teeth in the morning. But with AR and VR, you're going to have millions of new digital touch points with people, and it's a new way of communicating. And at VNTANA, we're building out a platform to create this interactive 3D content with data collection capabilities. So as the VR and AR world continue to evolve, we'll be the platform and become display agnostic for that. And so I've talked a lot, but I'll play a video to show you, some of the stuff that we've built. Well, the audio left. But this is a motivational speaker. The one on the left is a hologram, on the right's real. This is some of our gesture control that we did for Pepsi and iHeartRadio. I love the disco move. Shows up great on smartphones, but our back end does everything for you. You automatically receive a GIF or a video. This is one of the hologram concerts that we did. This is our virtual shopping app. This is the event with Mercedes. Audio. This is fun. Everybody got to serve Roger a tennis ball. Had a lot of adult women really wanting to. This is the avatar control. So that's a orc from Shadows of Mordor, if there's any gamers in here. So that gives you an example of some of the stuff we can do. But I'd love for this to be a conversation, so I can open it up to questions.
Thanks so much for sharing that presentation. It's just amazing to see how far you came along with just $5,000 in China. That's impressive, and I don't think I've ever seen someone build. We've had a lot of presenters here, and it's like the first time I've ever seen someone really build a business and an organization very organically. And it was a big risk for you to walk away from a very steady job at VP to become a light jockey. And I think it's just a really fascinating story. So that's kudos to you. That's awesome. We're going to open up to Q&A now. You guys know the format, but for the new people here, it's questions now, comments later. Will you be sticking around to interact with our audience a little bit after the presentation?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, cool. So if you want to share stories, do that offline. But right now, just raise your hand if you have a question. John will walk around with a microphone, and we'll get them answered.
Great story. Great experience. How has your role changed as the company has grown?
It's a great question. So as the CEO, my number one job is making sure there's money to build R&D, whether that's from investors or clients, building those client relationships and building a team to execute. Whereas in the beginning, it was me figuring out how to live stream the concerts, working with the computers, building hardware, talking to the manufacturer. In the beginning, you and your co-founder do everything. And as an engineering background, I was very hands-on into building the tech. But as you grow, I'm best used at making sure the company is going to continue to grow. And to do that, you have to have funding or clients and revenue, and you have to build a great team, because there's no way you can know everything. We're now getting into data, so we've needed to hire data engineers, and that was something 3 years ago we weren't even thinking about. So it definitely changes.
Back here? Over here.
My question is, are you a hologram right now?
No, one day we'll be doing that, so I can be at home and my hologram will be presenting somewhere. But
Okay. And that was my serious question. Have you ever used your own technology to really kind of showcase this tech by using the technology to actually market yourself?
Yeah, so actually when we were initially starting, still focused on DJs, still wanting to go to Asia, we had a big focus on Korea, so I'd love to talk about your experience there. We did a telepresence from LA to Seoul, South Korea. So I was in LA, my hologram was on the stage at the W Hotel in Seoul presenting to a lot of potential clients out there. It was less than a second delay, so everybody could ask me questions. My hologram would respond in real time. So yeah, it's a great use case. We're doing a few CEOs that, business communication is definitely a big vertical for us. CEOs who just don't have time to fly to China from New York, but they want that face-to-face interaction. So.
Over here, Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. First of all, what is your background in engineering? I'm just curious what kind of engineering your background is around, because you've come so far with this. And secondly, what hardware and or software is actually needed for this? Mm-hmm. And when will it be at a point that people like CEOs, like you're talking about, can actually purchase this and use it for things like that?
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's and master's in engineering from USC in industrial systems engineering, so manufacturing hardware, how you build hardware. I'm know enough coding to be dangerous, but I know what I want to build and I can hire that person to build it. We have 19 patents pending total, 10 on hardware. We've got our life-size hardware systems as well as our smaller plug-and-play retail. And then we've got 9 patents pending on software, which is the interactive. So we started building out on Connect. Connect has an Apache 2 license, so you own any tech that you build on top of that. They just want to sell more Connects. And we're starting to experiment with new sensors. Might build our own camera. It's something we're thinking about in the long-term pipeline. But we provide for events, we provide turnkey solutions. It was a way to get people to say yes, because this was new tech, they didn't understand it, but we can set it all up for you. Now we're starting to do permanent installations, and if it's permanently living somewhere, that's when it becomes really affordable for someone. So we're doing a hotel in Montenegro, permanent installation. So if you'd ever like to present in Montenegro, that system's there. That one's more for entertainment. But we are working on building these out in, potentially conference room style. So you could use this conference room and you could be sitting across from someone's hologram.
Over here.
Great presentation. One question I have is, have you guys done any research or done any work with artificial intelligence and combining that with the implementation with the platform that you built?
Yeah, so we've started looking at that. We're actually working on an interesting project where we did not want to use AI because it's preserving Holocaust survivors. So 100 years from now, people will be able to sit and ask a question to a hologram of survivor and hear their story and have that conversation. But in that use case, we literally wanted it to be coming from their mouth, their exact story, because we didn't want to give crazy people in the world an excuse to say this isn't real, this didn't happen, this isn't their story. So that is just an interesting use case when you're talking about holograms. There's a lot of different moral aspects to think about. But AI would be great for someone at a resort welcoming you in, stuff like that.
Hi, remarkable story and congratulations. It seems the applications of this to storytelling and film and media are endless. Can you talk a little bit about where you are with that and where you see this going and what interest you've courted?
Yeah, no, right now we're storytelling for brands. It's, how do we create this fun, engaging experience while conveying a certain message to a consumer? And we're basically being able to insert that consumer into the advertisement and they're becoming a participant. But what is that story and what are you trying to convey there, which is interesting. We're also doing museums. So the Pro Football Hall of Fame, people are gonna walk in through a locker room and hear this amazing pep talk from these famous coaches. And it's that story, it's the whole storyline that makes everything, really. So it's important in every aspect.
But no studio discussions yet?
Yeah, so studios, so we are finally going to replace some of those cardboard cutouts in movie theater lobbies. Johnny Depp can invite you into Pirates of the Caribbean, so we are working on several deals with that. And really it's, we're financing our hardware to be in a lot of movie theaters and then basically selling advertising space to the studios to have new engaging advertisements with their characters. So, our goal is basically to become Clear Channel, but holograms.
Over here.
Hi, Ashley. So, I remember when I was a teenager and they talked about what is now like FaceTime, but being in your house, right, on a hard line phone, going through a landline. I'm wondering if there are any consumer applications that you're thinking about, or is it only commercial that you're focused on right now?
There's definitely possibilities with consumer. For us, and as any startup, you really have to pick what you're going to focus on. No matter if you raise 25 million, you still have limited resources and people. So our big focus is on B2B, getting these systems everywhere. We do have some ideas for consumer, but we'll wait and see when the right time is for that.
Hi. For me, what's most interesting about your story is how every challenge you face, you just smack it and say, no, we're going to overcome you. So, in the current moment, what do you feel is the challenge that VNTANA is facing? And then the second question is, if you think towards the future, where do you dream of going? Like, what's your Mars civilization for the company?
Yeah, so I think one of our challenges has been educating the market. People don't know this technology exists, and they don't know it's affordable. This can be at your trade show or your corporate event. So I've actually been trying to do a lot more talks like this to kind of talk about AR. And with Facebook buying Oculus, VR became part of the conversation, which is great for us because people didn't know what we were, and they're like, oh, you're VR, and we get invited to all these VR things, which is great because we just rode that wave. And then use that as a platform to start talking about augmented reality and what holograms are. So So that's one, and the other is getting our hardware distributed. So it's, working with the agencies was great to get a lot of brands, but I don't want to have to fly people to New York to set this stuff up. So we're building out like channel partners that they already rent equipment, they already set this thing up for events, so they're going to add our product to their list.
Back here.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. That was very interesting to see how you started with nothing and where you are today. And so I actually had two questions. One, what kind of time frame were we talking about from when you started to now? And the other one I was wondering is, have you faced any challenges as a woman CEO? Anything that you thought you needed to overcome with that?
Yeah, so we started 3.5 years ago with the initial live streaming DJs. We did the Nicky Romero hologram June 2013. I always remember that date. and so really we've been building since that time. As a woman CEO, there aren't many women CEOs. There aren't many women many women founders, and I use it to my advantage. I go to a conference. I'm one of 5 women out of 200. They're gonna remember me, and that's the way I see it. Statistically, there's more male engineers. So going to investor meetings, they'll look at Ben and ask him how this works, and I'll say, "Hi, I have a master's in engineering. Let me explain it." I just want to be one more woman who's adding to increasing that percentage of engineers and CEOs.
Ashley, great presentation. You mentioned you have close relationship with Microsoft, and are you thinking about getting HoloLens also be part of your company, and also is there software that is used in HoloLens that you can incorporate in your live holograms?
Yeah, so we're starting to look at that. We are going to become HoloLens early developers as well. So we're building out this platform. So right now, VNTANA creates all your interactive content. When we get, our hardware in 1,000 movie theaters, Disney can log on to our software and create their own interactive hologram content with their characters. And so we're looking at how can we then transcend that and use it to create content for HoloLens. And so we definitely are looking at that. We're eventually wanting to become display agnostic. So HoloLens and whatever else comes out in the market over the next 5 to 10 years could use our content and software.
Back here.
Hello, Ashley. Thank you. Do you ever use your own environment, your own living environment as a laboratory? I mean, do you have a unit or a system set up in your own living space just to test it?
I didn't have enough room. I have a tiny apartment. But no, that's why it was great to start in Ben's parents' garage and having that space. Ben lived in our second office, so technically, yeah, he was doing that every day. But yeah, you just work with what you've got, really. And the best thing is to start building and figure it out and try and show it to clients and take their feedback and make changes based on that.
So follow on to the HoloLens, you're talking about VR to AR. This almost feels like it's beyond AR because you're not wearing anything. So where do you see these wearables? Do you see that as only a step that's going to go away, and there will be no wearables? And so I'm just curious what you think of the HoloLens and the Meta 2 or 3 or whatever that is, and where that's going.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And really, the industry is mixed reality. It's just going to become a spectrum. I think wearables are great when you're in your house alone. If you're doing video games, if you're using it to learn. I think healthcare and hospitals, it makes sense. But I'm not going to wear a headset to the mall. I'm just not. Or a concert where you're wanting to look good and meet people. It's awkward. You had the backlash from Google Glass. It's not good when people call your users glassholes, right? it looks weird. People are wearing, and you never knew if they were recording you or not. It was very invasive. And so holograms and having no wearables is what makes the most sense in public spaces. So that's why we're so focused on resorts, stadiums, malls, retail, all these places where people just aren't going to be wearing those headsets. And as the technology continues to evolve, yeah, there won't be headsets and there won't be screens. Leap Motion is creating contact lenses that you're going to wear. and project onto your eye. But that's still the individual experience. So only you wearing those contact lenses can see that digital, but my friend walking down the mall with me can't see what I see. So for us, you know, it's still that group experience that differentiates us.
Over here.
Pat, excuse me, Pat Holmes, Pasadena Angels. When you said you just need to build it and show it to customers, it reminded me of Lean Startup. So I'm wondering, are you following Lean Startup, or are there any other particular books or business books, self-help books that you would recommend to startup CEOs?
Yeah, I definitely read The Lean Startup when I was first starting, and I just didn't even know where to begin. So I highly recommend that book. And I don't know, I'm currently reading the Steve Jobs book, which is interesting. I think you should be nice to people, but, you know, because it's all about building relationships. It was really interesting how he completely changed industries. So I think that's a great book too.
We have time for one more question. Does anybody have a question? Is your partner Ben here?
No, he's not.
Hologram here?
Hey, could you talk a little bit about the hardware itself, if you can?
Yeah, so it's based on Pepper's Ghost. We have a perfectly clear screen. It's proprietary formula to us, made out of a certain type of plastic. When we project an image onto that, it looks like that image is floating there, or that person is standing there. Because it's plastic, it can all roll up and fit into one road case. Because we started with concerts, we had to build a hardware that could go on tour. So this can be set up by 2 people in an hour. It all folds up into a road case and it can ship out. But that's also great for trade shows and experiential events, you know, and everything we've been doing. And then for the interactive, it's using infrared sensors to track people's bodies and motions.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your questions, guys. So we're like a bunch of innovators, entrepreneurs, and startups here. Is there anything that we can do for you to help you and your company grow? Anything specific?
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for more brands to work with, especially events. Our most affordable is our hologram selfie booth. So it's an augmented reality photo booth. You get to walk up, you see your hologram, interact with other holograms, and you get a video or a GIF to post to social. And it's really great for corporate events.